You lived an entire life before the age of 3. You were born. You opened your eyes for the first time. You heard your mother's voice. You learned what comfort felt like. You learned what love felt like. And you remember none of it. Not a single moment. Not one face. Not one room. Not one day. It's like an entire chapter of your life was ripped out of the book. Most people think the answer is simple. Your brain wasn't ready yet. You were too young, too small, too undeveloped. But that's not quite right. The real answer is stranger than you expect. And it explains a lot more about you than you realize. Almost nobody remembers being a baby. Scientists call this childhood amnesia. It happens to everyone. Across every culture. Across every continent. For most people, the memory wall sits somewhere between ages 2 and 4. Anything before that is gone. But here's the part that breaks people's brain. Babies do form memories. They recognize their parents. They recognize their home. They learn songs. They learn faces. They learn routines. They are clearly storing something. So why does all of that vanish? The answer is that babyhood was never stored the same way adult life is stored. Your brain was not broken. It was still under construction. When you were a baby, the systems that build stable long-term memories were still being wired. You were busy learning faces, learning voices, learning danger, learning touch, learning comfort, learning sounds, learning smells, learning what your own body even was, learning how to stay alive. You were not building a clean story of your life. You were building the operating system that would one day be able to build a clean story of your life. You probably had experiences. You probably had feelings. You probably had moments that felt huge to you, but you didn't yet have the full machinery to save them as neat, retrievable episodes. It's like trying to record a movie before the camera exists. The light was there. The scene was there. There was just nothing yet that could press record. A few brain systems matter here: the hippocampus, language, and a stable sense of self. The hippocampus is the part of your brain that takes a moment and turns it into a memory you can replay later. In babies, the hippocampus is still maturing. It can form quick, fuzzy traces, but it isn't ready yet to lock things in for years. Then there's language. Most adult memories live partly in words. You remember what someone said. You remember what you thought. You remember the story you told yourself about it. A baby doesn't have that yet. No words, no inner narrator, no story. Then there's the self. To remember a moment as a memory of you, there has to be a you. A stable sense of being a person who exists across time. Babies don't have that yet either. They are still figuring out where they end and the world begins. Without those three things working together, memories don't attach the same way. No self, no timeline, no personal archive. That's why early childhood feels like a blank wall. Not because nothing happened, not because you weren't there, but because the recorder wasn't ready yet. But here's the twist, the part most people miss. Even if you don't remember babyhood, babyhood still shaped you. Quietly, permanently. It trained your stress system, your comfort system, your attachment system. The parts of you that decide what feels safe, what feels threatening, what feels familiar, what feels like love. Every time someone picked you up when you cried, your brain learned something. Every time someone didn't, your brain learned something else. Every soft voice, every loud voice, every warm hand, every cold room. All of it sank into wiring you can't see and can't explain. So some of the biggest forces in your adult life were built before you could explain them, before you could name them, before you could even think about them. That's why a smell can suddenly make you feel safe. That's why a tone of voice can suddenly make you tense up. That's why some people feel like home the second you meet them, and you have no idea why. Your body remembers what your mind cannot. That's why forgetting babyhood is not a flaw. It's not a glitch. It's proof your brain was developing exactly as it should. You were busy building the foundation. You weren't supposed to be writing the diary yet. You were there. You were real. You were learning every second. You just weren't old enough to keep the footage. But the lessons stayed. The wiring stayed. The you that you became started there.